analytics and planning and designing and ultimately engaging the public. I'll come back to that more in a few minutes. This system, I mean, the term a digital twin now is very popular these days. And I like the idea. You know, the digital twin came from the aircraft industry or the car industry, where you made a model and you could test it in various models, looking at wind and so on. But what we are up to as a community is building a living digital twin with models and real-time integration, accessible ultimately everywhere, much like the COVID map reached about 40% of the global population. A kind of living digital twin that is grounded in science, but accessible across organizations, supporting hundreds of different kinds of interconnected workflows, but a constant data model that can be shared and reaches cross-cutting kind of applications in meaningful ways. This kind of system actually encompasses three subparts. For some of you, it's a system of record keeping. I manage the parcels, or I manage my imagery libraries, and I manage the system of record. For others, it's a system of analytics, of interpretation, of creating insights. And for others yet, it's a system of talking to people, communicating through maps or apps that reflect geospatial data. In this sense, GIS is actually all of those systems in one. This technology is advancing, and I suppose that's why some of you came to this conference, is to learn more about what's new, which is always fun at these conferences. What's new is both inside of this GIS cloud, many new advances, hundreds of them really. It keeps evolving. But also it's resting on a whole foundation of evolving science, evolving computing, evolving remotely sensed information, for example, or real-time wiring up the planet. And so for this conference, I thought I would just pick these 8 innovations because they're quite interesting in and of themselves. While there's hundreds of innovations occurring, and if I again look back to 40 years ago when I spoke at this same conference, so much has changed, but conceptually, some of the same fundamental ideas remain. So you can glance through these, you can find your favorite, but actually all of them together, converging and evolving, is what I really want you to think about. We'll start with this first one. GISs are becoming interconnected. There are literally millions of users that are doing GIS-related projects in forestry, in land management, in real estate, in construction. They're doing suitability analysis, they're doing projects, called a project GIS. Others, hundreds of thousands of systems now are emerging. These are systems of record or systems of dissemination of information. And like I say, there's hundreds of thousands of these. It's quite shocking for me. And this third pattern is what I think is emerging. I'm calling it geospatial infrastructure, and it involves the interconnection, like the web itself, actually using web services as a technology to glue things together, the interconnection of services across organizations of all types. This is really about, in a way, fusion, like we used to gather data, put it all in the database, and then we'd have cool applications. But now we have distributed servers all over the place that are measuring the weather, that are measuring geology, cadastral data, facility data, environmental data of various types. And through the magic of web portals, this data is being dynamically brought together and used in various applications. It's quite extraordinary, really. If we look at it holistically or top down, we are wiring up our natural environment with sensors of various types, and also our built environment with rich data models that can bring all of this information together as a living digital twin. This is a different picture that I've painted here, but I just want you to get a sense that we're wiring up the planet and making it accessible. And it's not just wiring it up, it's the ability to use geospatial fusion or geographic fusion or apply the geographic approach to science and various applications. This is interesting because from an engineering perspective, rather than putting all the data, copying all the data, putting it into a single database, today what's changed is I can connect to URLs that have different data formats, hundreds of them, and I can dynamically view the information in a geospatial frame called a map, a web map. And I can overlay those web maps and link together just about any kind of information. Isn't that cool? Okay. You better get excited, more excited. Man. I don't know. This is really cool. I couldn't have believed that this would happen, actually. That we would take data from every discipline, from every field, and fuse it dynamically as things are happening. This geospatial infrastructure pattern is growing. I'm in a unique